Suns fans, this is Suns Latest. I am Rich Rubin. Let's get right to it because we have an awesome quote from someone you forgot about. Quote of the day, quote, "Some people are born on third base and go through life thinking they hit a triple," end quote. That is a great quote, and that could sum up a lot of people that I run into today. That is from Barry Switzer, former national championship winning football coach from Oklahoma and Super Bowl champion coach for the Dallas Cowboys. Mostly remembered as someone who inherited a dominant Cowboys team that really didn't even need a coach to win another Super Bowl. But Barry Switzer figured out how to move in the world of professional football and learned how not to get fired a lot. And that alone is a skill. And he did okay for himself. No, I'm not going to say he's controversial. I think people have this idea that he's been overrated his whole entire career. And it's like, well, if that's overrated, I'll take it. The perception of Barry Switzer is he's overrated. But that quote needs to be said to anyone who's entitled. And that has nothing to do with, that can be with sports, but that can be with a lot of people in today's world. A lot of people think they're rock stars. A lot of people think they deserve everything. And a lot of times those are the people who contribute nothing. So very important to remember. And I like saying that every now and then. I think I've said that to some younger folks. Okay. All right. Fine. Let's see. Not a ton of news as always at this time of year, but I'll just let you know about the televised games that the Suns have. There's 9, only one on ESPN. The rest are on NBC and or Peacock. Saturday, November 8th, at Clippers on ESPN. The rest are NBC Peacock. Tuesday, November 8th, the Trailblazers. Monday, November 24th against the Rockets in Phoenix. I think that is Kevin Durant's first game back in Phoenix. Monday, December 1st, at LA Lakers. Tuesday, Tuesday, February 3rd, Trailblazers on Peacock. Tuesday, March 3rd at Kings. Monday, March 16th at Celtics. Tuesday, March 24th, Nuggets at Suns on NBC Peacock. Good game. Tuesday, April 7th, Rockets again at Suns. All right, so that's really all we have for now as far as the news. I do want to talk about CJ Huntley. We have this guy in a two-way. I finally got around to watching some Appalachian State video of him. This is an interesting guy. Immediately reminded me of Miles Turner, who is now a Buck. He'd been on the Pacers forever, the stretch 5. 6'11", 225 pounds, 5 seasons at Appalachian State. So he's not a one-and-done college player. And I like that he, it's a smaller school. So maybe somebody got in his ear and said, you know what, it's a small school. You're going to need some reps. And since you're not going against the best in the Division I, maybe you stick around and see if you can really do this. And you can just see his progression year by year, just watching a highlight tape of CJ Huntley. 15.7 points per game, 8 rebounds per game in his last year at Appalachian State. Very good numbers for any college big man. The Suns signed Huntley to a 2-way contract. So tied for the most games in Appalachian State Mountaineers history, the 153 games played. A durable 6'11", slight build big guy. Huge for the Suns. Listed as a forward, as I said, he reminds me of Miles Turner. But he's not as slight as it would seem like if you hear almost 7 feet tall and not even 240. But he looks heavy boned, even though he's long limbed and skinny, like a Rasheed Wallace skinny, and incredibly strong, like Rasheed Wallace. Can hit the 3, 38% in college. And watching some of his highlights, they look for him. They design plays for him to shoot the 3. That's huge. Can put the ball on the floor. He can drive, decent first step. Understands the pick and roll very well. Understands where to be on the court. Unlike some other draft picks the Suns have had in the horribly recent past. Pretty good down low, has some post moves that need to get developed. He's not what you call a power guy. But it's there in his head. And he does like to compete. Looks good from a small school. Competition in the NBA, especially in the preseason, if he gets some reps, will really show who he is. Kind of cool though. So don't go sleeping on CJ Huntley. We might have something there. All right, let's get to your comments. Not a ton because there's a lot to discuss regarding the 15 and ranking the 15. Demi Lovato Variable. I hope I get your name right. If I don't, please comment and always comment and let me know if I got the name right. Media Day, September 23rd. Palm Desert, October 3rd. Play the Lakers. Then Macau, China. They play Brooklyn. What the F? Just wear them out early? or get the young guys' legs getting ready for the full season. I think with the preseason and the China game, they're going to see what they have. I also think we have so many young guys on this team. It's like, get them the reps, get them in shape early. A lot of injuries happen the first couple of weeks of the season because guys aren't in playing shape yet. Preseason is a good indicator of who's in playing shape. BYB Boxing, regarding the Kidd and Nash trade. Oh, okay. You made the reference to Dennis Johnson and Westfall. That trade. I still consider Paul Westfall and Cotton Fitzsimmons the two best Suns coaches. They were amazing Suns coaches. Cotton Fitzsimmons coached the Suns 3 separate times. Fitzsimmons was instrumental in the resurgence of the Suns in the late 80s, along with the KJ and Chambers Suns. And Westfall, when we got Barkley, was there ever a more perfect coach to coach Charles Barkley, one superstar to another? Westfall was great when he started coaching the Suns. I like Jeff Hornacek as a coach. He modeled himself after Coach Jerry Sloan of the Jazz and Cotton Fitzsimmons. It was post-Nash when we had, listen to this roster, Goran Dragic, Eric Bledsoe, a young Barbosa, Channing Frye, and the Morris twins before they went nuts and became jerks. Good players, but hardly a dominating team. Even though we didn't make the playoffs, we were 48-34, showed that we belong, could beat anybody on any given night. Hornacek was our coach who helped us improve by 23 wins in his first season, runner-up to Popovich that year for Coach of the Year, 37 first-place votes. So he didn't just come in second. He almost won Coach of the Year that year. You can't not have Coach John McLeod on the list as well. First ever Suns trip to the finals. And I said a few times that I never loved his former Marine X's and O's approach to the game, his way or you sit. But a lot of players did buy into it, and his system did work. And he had teams that played well together. He was team. Let the superstar go. But a guy like Paul Westfall, who was a coach on the floor, there was a lot of battles between the two of them. And Westfall lasted plenty long because McLeod knew he had a great player on his team, but it didn't last forever. And that's that was McLeod's downfall. Not a lot of give. I don't think Coach McLeod would have lasted in today's game. Not his style. Bill Fitch wouldn't last in today's game. He was another amazing coach. But I think Jeff Hornacek would. If he was the coach he was then and he had a team right now, I think he'd be fine. Steve Postero, the hard part of choosing the 15 is disrespecting great players. I feel like such an a-hole talking down Andre. Who's Andre? He was great. I'm glad he was on our team and not another team. I don't know who you're talking about. Are you thinking Amar'e? Stoudemire? Or DeAndre? DeAndre? I wouldn't have made the 15. Maybe the fact that I was away from the Valley for work during the Andre years. Who's Andre? Steve, help me out here. The underlying idea seems to be that a value of a specific player to a specific fan seems to vary by the observation of that fan. Common sense? No. Thanks for the podcast, Rich. Steve from Richmond. You're very welcome. Thanks for the comment. Once again, who the hell's Andre? But regarding choosing the 15, it's tough. But other than Hornacek and DJ, it's not like we're disrespecting anybody. I think we went through this like crazy. I don't think it's disrespecting leaving them off the 15, because think of it as most sports fans, and with sports, with anything that's worthwhile talking about, who's the best, who's better than who, and why, and how come. And it can't just be because of your recency bias or your old head bias. It has to be, what did they do? What was their impact? What were their stats? Is there a legacy? Were they honored by the team? There's all these factors that go into ranking them. So, I mean, I'm like looking at the list of 15, and maybe except for Van Arsdale, who was a 6'5" small forward who didn't really jump, but he was a great defensive player and could get in front of anybody and could guard both guards and the small forward position. You know, it's like, well, God, Van Arsdale, he might be like a 7th or 8th guy on a team today. So the 15, they could all play in today's game, and they wouldn't have to modify a ton. A few would have to figure out how to make a 3, but some really didn't need to. Some don't even need to in today's game. So the Suns have a ring of honor, and the 15 is ours. So let's continue with the ranking of the 15. So the last Suns latest, I didn't get any pushback on it. Dick Van Arsdale, and the reason why he was just brought up, is probably 15 out of the 15. So now it's going to get difficult, and it has to do with the impact of the player. And if the impact of the player is comparable, then we have to look at individual accomplishments while with the Suns. So right now I'm looking at Tom Chambers and Amar'e Stoudemire for the 14. And it seems ludicrous, but you have to consider the other guys who played for the Suns and the impact that they had. So Tom Chambers played for the Suns just about 5 years. His last game was the final game against the Bulls in the 93 finals for the Suns as a sixth man. That was his last game as a Sun. I thought he stayed another year, but I guess he did not. Played from 83 to 88, 3-time All-Star. Two-time All-NBA second team, sixth man on our 93 finals team. Number retired by the Suns. Averages of 25 points his first year with the Suns and 27 points per game in 88, in 89 and 90, in 89 and 90, excuse me. 27 points per game. I think that's the second highest scoring average a Suns player ever had, just under KD. I think that might have been the highest one until KD got to the Suns a few years ago. Chambers was fifth in the league in scoring his second year with the Suns. Never a shutdown defender, but kept his man honest, not just with his good athleticism and defense, but because whoever had to guard Chambers, they were in their head. So just by psychologically making a guy think that I've got to cover this guy, your offensive game is going to suffer. So by that rationale, Chambers was a better defensive player than he gets credit for. Along with KG and Coach Cotton, helped usher in a whole new culture of Suns in the late 80s. It was a big deal when we got Tom Chambers. He could score on anyone. And we talk about that, but we talk about that when we talk about the greatest scorers in NBA history. Carmelo Anthony just got elected to the Hall of Fame. He could score on anyone, and he couldn't do much else. Tom Chambers could score on anyone, and he could do a lot more. Finished his NBA career with over 20,000 points. He is not in the Hall of Fame. He is one of only two guys in NBA history. Oh, my Connie Hawkins poster is dying on me. Excuse me. He is one of only two guys in NBA history. Sorry for the old backside shot. One of only two guys in NBA history with 20,000 points or more who is not in the Hall of Fame. The other guy is Antoine Jameson. So that's Tom Chambers' legacy with the Suns, and now we're going to compare him to Amar'e Stoudemire. And there are people that don't remember Chambers but definitely remember Stoudemire. We'll get that poster later. You like the black and white Connie Hawkins poster? I got that at a Suns game in 1970, bud. All right, I'll tape it up later. I don't want to keep dealing with it. And I'm going to get some frames and clean up this mess, okay? All right. So straight out of high school, 9th pick in the 02 draft, played 8 years for the Suns from 02 to 2010. So already he's played more years for the Suns. NBA Rookie of the Year, beating out Yao Ming and Caron Butler. And the first, no one knows this, I didn't know this, the very first ever, straight from high school to the NBA, Rookie of the Year. LeBron was the next year. But Stoudemire is the very first guy to ever do that. Helped the Suns to the playoffs his rookie year, all-rookie team, the rookie game, all-star game MVP that year. I think in like his fifth or sixth game, Stoudemire had 38. He was that good as a rookie. Nash joins the Suns in 04. Stoudemire averages 26 points per game. Suns go 62-60, their best record ever at the time and their second-best record in team history. Averaged 37 points per game in the Western Conference Finals, but the Spurs beat us by 5. We're going to hear but the Spurs beat us by for the next few minutes, so just brace yourself. Knee issues the next year, which pretty much missed all of 06-07. Stoudemire comes back hard, makes all-NBA first team. He made it as a center, and I don't want to put an asterisk next to it. It's a huge accomplishment. Of course he was top 5 that year, and he was sort of forced to be our center. And the league just said, yeah, he's a center, because other than Yao Ming, who I also think was injured that year, there weren't really a whole lot of great centers. I'm not dissing Stoudemire. I'm saying I thought it was weird that he will go down as a power forward, but the only time he made All-NBA was as a center. It's the Tim Duncan argument. Duncan was a center. Duncan was a power forward who played a center-type game. Stoudemire could switch back and forth, but he was much more effective facing the basket as a power forward. Argue that all you want. 26-10 in the playoffs against the Spurs, but the Suns lose in 6 games in 06-07. This was when Horry checked Nash into the scorers table, and Stoudemire and Diaw were on the bench at the time. They come off the bench to go get their guy. The league suspends them. Somebody watch that clip for me. I can't watch it. It hurts my heart. But I vaguely remember Tim Duncan going over to help, or just going over, but I don't remember Duncan was coming off the bench then. All I know is you're not allowed to join a melee, even if you're on the court or not. I know the bench rule was a thing, but I think it was such BS that happened, and no one on the Spurs got suspended except Horry. And I think if the league could, they would have gotten away with not suspending Horry. So frustrating. That year, the next year, Stoudemire leads the Suns in scoring at 25.2 points per game. My God, he scored a lot for us. All-star, All-NBA second team. Suns lose to the freaking Spurs 4-1. Stoudemire averages 23 points per game in that playoff series. The next year, the Suns beat everyone, including the Spurs, in the playoffs, but lose the Lakers in the Western Conference Finals 4-2. So, Stoudemire Chambers went to the playoffs every year with the Suns. So it looks like Stoudemire did too, and finally got to the Western Conference Finals. But he was like the man. It's different. Chambers goes to the finals, but I hate to say it, but his game, we had Charles Barkley, we had Marley and Barkley were the scorers. Chambers wasn't really needed. His game was kind of go in there and mix it up and get a point if you can. But he wasn't Tom Chambers when we were in the finals. Stoudemire was like the main reason, along with Nash, that we even got to the Western Conference Finals. I know it's not the finals, but I hope you see where I'm going with this. 5-time All-Star with the Suns, 1-time All-NBA first team, 3 times All-NBA second team. So just stats alone, he outclasses Chambers. Rookie of the Year, number retired by the Suns. He signed a contract with the Knicks to retire as a Knick in 2016, which still pisses me off. It's like, dude, you were an all-star once with the Knicks, and you were not the same guy. Your knee injuries were really catching up to you. Your eye injury really caught up to you. And the Knicks waived you. We wanted to sign you. You left us to go to the Knicks. He was good on the Knicks for half a season. He was an MVP contender for half a season, and he was top 10 MVP votes for a couple of years with the Suns. So something happened with the Suns, or maybe he wanted to distance himself from Nash, but that always bothers me that he did that, and he didn't retire as a Sun. Nevertheless, I think the Suns are at heart a good organization. They like the guys that helped put us on the map. So he got his number retired, so he's in the Ring of Honor. Chambers and Stat, they're pretty tough, but the more you talk about Stoudemire and the more you talk about Chambers, a lot of it just has to do with the Suns drafted Stoudemire, and he's one of our own. Draft your own, build your own, champion your own. So there's really no argument that Stoudemire had a better overall career as a Sun. Chambers had a better overall career as a Sun than Connie Hawkins, and is evenly matched with Shawn Marion, but not as good as Walter Davis. And even though Chambers reached the finals in '93 with the Barkley-led Suns, he was not the leader of the team or the co-leader of the team. It's like Barkley and Marley and KJ. Even Barkley was the leader, but KJ and Marley were just as important. Without the three of them, we probably don't get there. The Suns would have gotten to the finals with or without Chambers in '93. I'd say his impact was not as big, but not too far below Connie Hawkins when he joined the Suns. So it's funny. The more I wrote about this and the more I thought about it, it was hard when I first mentioned the names, but I'm going to put Tom Chambers at the number 14th ranked Phoenix Suns player of all time. Argue with me. Let me know what you think in the comments. We're going to do 13 on the next Suns latest, and that will be between Marion, Connie Hawkins, and Walter Davis. And these are not easy to pick. After we get those guys, then it's going to come down to Booker, Barkley, Kidd, Nash, KJ, Chris Paul, Paul Westphal, Alvin Adams, and Dan Marley. A lot of you are already going, Chris Paul and Alvin Adams? And it's like, yeah, as far as impact, as far as changing the culture, those guys are a lot more important than a lot of other Suns players, more than you think. All right, it's Rich Rubin. This is Suns Latest. I appreciate you watching. We'll do this again soon.